Yo, what is good? I am very happy to be bringing you guys a new video. It's your boy Haiguh, and today we are on the test realm, and I am going to be showing you guys all of the new changes to many spells throughout the spiral, through all 7 schools. Some buffed, well, a lot of them buffed, some of them nerfed. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler. If you're Storm, just click away. You don't want to see it. If you only have a Storm Wizard, you can go back to sleep because this is not your update. Now, I've just logged on and gone through a lot of it with chat. I'm doing this live, so if I miss anything, hopefully they can correct me. But anyways, let's go ahead and start off with the first school. The character that I'm on right now is Fire. So the first major change to a Fire spell is gonna be at our level 48 spell with Fire Dragon. Fire Dragon now has a base damage of 600. 600! That is insane. That makes the base damage. This is a much more viable AoE for Fire to use. There was a lot of instances where using Meteor versus Fire Dragon was almost the same because you weren't going for the overtime damage. You were going for that first hit, but now that it has a higher base damage than Meteor, this is going to make it a lot more useful. Let me pull it up real quick. So before, Fire Dragon used to do 440 damage plus 351 over 3 rounds, and now it does 600 plus 375 over 3 rounds. So the overtime also got a buff, but that base damage getting a buff is really nice. Now, the other spells that got changed, Afreet hasn't been changed yet, but they have confirmed that they are looking at it and looking to nerf it. So it'll probably be receiving either less damage, or what I'm thinking is they're just going to nerf the weakness that it puts on, probably something like a -40 or -50 instead. Scorching Scimitar, all of the choosing spells, all the choosing shadow spells, the ones that you can choose which enemies you hit, all of them have been nerfed. All of them are in the 700 to 800 damage range, which I think is perfectly fine. They're all around the same, keeping all the schools, since all of them have the same effect for every school, it keeps every school pretty even as far as they go. So for Scimitar, we're at 876, as opposed to like 1100 or whatever we were at before. FFA has now been brought back up to 960 to 1080. It still puts a fuel on, even though I think they said that they were gonna do just one fire trap instead, but as of right now it still puts a fuel instead, so plus 25% to the next 3, so 3 fire traps, and 960 to 1080, which is really good. They also brought FFA down 5% accuracy, so all of the Darkmoor shadow spells are now gonna match the choosing shadow spells in accuracy, so that's something else to keep in mind. The last thing that got changed for Fire is Raging Bull. So Raging Bull used to do 775 to 900 base damage with a -20 mantle or -20 accuracy debuff. Now it does 705 to 825 with a -40 mantle. So a little bit of a damage buff by about 75 base damage, but now it has a -40 mantle, which will just be a bit more helpful in certain situations with PvE. Makes it a bit more useful on the utility side of things because a -20 really doesn't, you know. So I'm on my ice now. You can see it right here. Jacob said in chat that the fuel is a visual glitch. It does. They have confirmed that it only leaves 1 trap now for FFA. So FFA is, I believe, is like 960 to 10 something damage, and it only leaves 1 fire trap now. So onto ice. Some of the major some of the changes that we have. The first one coming in Frost Giant. I don't really know why, but they did. So Frost Giant used to do 475 base damage along with the stun. Now it does 460. So they nerfed it by about 15 base damage. I don't think they made a change to Snow Angel or Woolly Mammoth. I do know that they made a change to Snowball Barrage. Snowball Barrage's damage got nerfed by 10, so it was at 85 and now it's at 75. I don't really think that was necessary. It wasn't used much in PvP. It was really only used in PvE. It was one of Ice's strongest spells in PvE. 10 damage, but you know, it is what it is. They have to nerf all the shadow spells. It'd be unfair if they didn't. Climaclysm is at 732. As I said, all of the choosing spells are down to around the 700 to 800 range, and Abominable Weaver is brought back up to 790 to 910. After the initial nerf, it was at 590 to 710, so they brought it up about 200 base damage, and now most people know, but instead of doing a -70 shield, to the next incoming minus 70 tower, it's a minus 50. So it puts a regular tower shield on you. So those are the major changes for Ice. Scion has not received any changes or anything else to my knowledge. Myth has some major changes. Major changes. Changes I never thought I would ever see a day in my life as Myth. If you're a Myth wizard, this update is mwah, chef's kiss beautiful. And I know you're thinking, what could they have done? What could they have done to make Myth possibly any good? Peep this. Myth, oh my god. So the first major change. Earthquake buffed in 60 base damage. So before it was 310, now it's 370. Still not too crazy, but this makes it a more viable AoE than Humunga Frog damage-wise, which I think is good, being the fact that you get the spells 20 levels apart. Humunga Frog being at like 22-ish or 26, and Earthquake being at, what, 48? No. Like 42, I think. I think it's like the 42 spell or something like that from Cyrus Drake. Orthrus, 700 base damage AoE. Not only is it a 700 base damage AoE, it is the strongest level 48 spell in the game. The strongest level 48 spell in the game, and it's Myth. That sounds bananas. They changed Orthrus from being a double hit into a single hit. It hits all enemies and 700 base damage with an epic enchant. That is 1,000 damage to all enemies. That is stronger than Stormlord by 10 base damage, stronger than Fire Dragon, stronger than Forest Lord, stronger than Frost Giant. It's stronger than everything. It's, bro, that's beautiful. So good. I love that. That is such a good change for Myth. Next change comes in Mystic Colossus. Most people saw that it removes a shield now before the attack. And instead of 400 base damage or like 450 wherever it was, now we're at 650, which I think is solid. Removes a shield, does 650 Myth damage to all enemies. Snake Charmer got brought down from about 1056 damage to 840. So that's not too bad. Witch's House Call also getting a nerf. I believe, or no, it looks like a buff actually. I believe it used to be 1152, right? Yeah, it did get buffed. So Witch's House Call used to do 992 damage to 1132. Now it does 1030 to 1175, bro. That is amazing. And again, reminding you that all of the shadow spells are brought down to the same accuracy. So all of Scion, Snake Charmer, Colossus, Witch's House Call are all down to 75% accuracy for Myth. But these are major changes for Myth, making it a much more viable school in the PvE meta, you know. All right, on the life, we get another major change. I think this is the second biggest change to a school, as opposed to second just to Orthrus, that Orthrus change for Myth. Now, the change for life is Forest Lord is now a 7-pip spell, and they buffed the damage. I believe it did 540 to 620. Now it does 620 to 680. So they buffed it by about 80 base damage and made it cost 1 pip less. And now they switched it with Rebirth. So Rebirth is now an 8-pip spell. I believe you're still going to get Rebirth at level 48, Forest Lord at 58, but this is still really good. The reason having a 7-pip AoE is so important is because most battles in endgame you start with 5 pips, which means you only need to wait 1 round after the first. So that means on round 2 you can hit, as opposed to waiting 2 rounds where on round 3 you would hit as a life. So that cuts a whole extra round out of having to buff or shield or whatever it is. And this is just good. It's stronger than Fire Dragon now. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have any additional effect, but this is really good. It's bringing all the other schools that were lacking in PvE, in the PvE meta as far as hitting, a bit higher. Hungry Caterpillar is at 790 to 910. I believe it was also with Weaver at 590 to 710. Wings of Fate is currently broken at the moment. It doesn't work. I tried testing it. It just, I don't know. The damage didn't apply or something. I don't know. It's not working. But I'm assuming once they fix it, it will be. And you can now the card better depicts what it actually does. Before it said like 525 damage over time, and it gave you a heal over time. Now it specifically tells you how much the heal over time is. And not only does it just put an overtime, it does a hit first. So it's like Fire Dragon. It hits and then puts an overtime, as opposed to before where it just put an overtime on you. So this will be good for getting rid of shields and then putting an overtime on you, as well as healing your team. I believe it should also heal your team first and then put an overtime on them, kind of like Sprite. So it'll be like, I don't know, using a fire dragon and a Sprite at the same time. Obviously not as strong as fire dragon, but yeah, that's like the concept. That's the same idea. Spinosaur hasn't received any changes. Sign of Life hasn't received any changes, and I believe Gnomes is still the same as well. Again, reminder, accuracy changes down here as well. So I wanted to show this. I'm gonna put this in the video after. I forgot to show it because I didn't have it on my Life Wizard. But Lamassu is at 732 damage, 85% accuracy. Okay, on the death side of things, one major change, which I think is incredible, again to a level 48 7-pip AoE, Scarecrow. Scarecrow getting a huge buff. Scarecrow used to be 400 base damage, now at 590. 590 base damage, hitting all enemies. That is insane. That is really, really good for the Death Wizards. Call of Cthulhu is back up to 575. From before, it was at like 490 or 500 or something like that. Kisma is at 768 now, and Winged Sorrow is back to 800 to 980, but this time only with a minus 20 weakness. I believe it gave like a minus 30 or a minus 40 before. But these death changes are really good. I think this change to Scarecrow is... Now, Balance did also receive some big changes, so let's go over that. Second to last, I think Balance might have received the most. Actually, no. There was a lot of changes, but the first change for Balance coming in their level 42 teacher spell, Hydra. I believe Hydra base damage before was 190 per head, now at 230 per head. So that's pretty nice. An extra 40 damage per head on the base. Power Nova is untouched, 470 and a minus 25 to all enemies. Ra is also untouched. Chimera got a 5 damage increase, so it used to be 340, now it's 345. It's whatever. Sandworm, 768 base damage. I believe that's like the same as Kisma almost. So like I said earlier, they're all around the same area. That's pretty balanced to me. Gaze of Fate back up from 250 to 325, and now the second eye does more damage by a little bit. So second eye will do 345 base damage, and it still gives you a plus 25 damage balance bubble. Nested Fury has a big change, performing now like Spectral Blast as opposed to doing the same base damage and only changing the element. Now it performs different damages based on the element that it hits. So 805 to ice, 970 to fire, 1050 to storm. What this means is if it hits storm, Nested Fury is the strongest base damage AoE in the game if it hits storm. But again, that's only a 33.3% chance, so you know, it is what it is. Still a very strong AoE, 805 base damage AoE. That is pretty much the same as like Raging Bull. That's like Raging Bull damage, so that's really, really good. I've used it on my Balance in the test realm, and it hits. It hits hard. It hits really hard. So, again, reminder on the accuracy, but Nested Fury, Gaze of Fate, Sandworm, Chimera, and Hydra have received changes on the Balance side. Okay, so I am on Discord. My friend is sharing his screen because I don't have a max level Storm Wizard yet. So, changes for the Storm School. Siren's getting a very, very big nerf. So Sirens used to do around 900 base damage. It used to remove 2 blades and put a minus 50 mantle on you. Now at 730 base damage, just 40 base damage above Stormlord, and now it only removes 1 blade. But obviously it can remove 1 blade from every enemy, still hits all. Storm Owl getting a little bit of a nerf. I believe Storm Owl used to go from like 14 to 1500 base damage, or like 1425 to 1525. Now it's 1350 to 1450. Glow Bugs getting where this is what I was saying should have happened to Glow Bugs from the jump. This is when we were talking about changes to Glow Bugs. This was the change that I said should have happened, and I think Glow Bugs is in a really, really good spot. 940 base storm damage with no additional effects. This is an incredibly, incredibly strong spell. It doesn't need an Enfeeble, and this will still allow Storm to be one of the top tier damage dealers in PvE content as far as hitting mobs, hitting bosses, and stuff like that. Iron Sultan is brought down to 948 base damage, so one of the stronger 4-pip AoEs, but still allows everything to be in the range. Also, Peep, Glowbugs, and Iron Sultan are both at 65% accuracy. Keep that accuracy in mind. Next page, please. And the last change is coming to Rusalka. I think Rusalka was in the 1400s for base damage, and now it is at 13. Let me pull it up actually real quick. So yeah, Rusalka's Wrath used to do 1445 base damage, and now it is brought down by 100, so 1350. And the last change he wants to show is Leviathan. Leviathan did get nerfed. Leviathan used to do 1020 base damage and remove a blade. Now it does 975 and removes a blade. So, okay. Okay, see you later. He actually... That's how he feels. That's how he feels. That's how he feels about the storm changes. That's how he feels about the storm changes. Okay. Oh my god. No, I said Storm Owl. I said Storm Owl. So Leviathan, Rusalka's, Iron Sultan, Glowbugs, and Storm Owl all getting changes on the storm side of things. But I believe we've pretty much touched up on everything and all the changes. I think this is a pretty good update. I'm pretty excited for it. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. If you did enjoy or found it helpful, a like would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe, because I know a lot of y'all be watching my videos and don't be subscribed. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.